New Education Policy 2020 shares ideas to revamp education, teaching and assessment systems in schools and colleges. Now, what is National Education Policy 2020? First of all, I want to make you clear that this is a policy, not a legal document. The National Education Policy 2020 is the first education policy of the 21st century and replaces the 34-year-old National Policy on Education 1986. After independence, first education policy was formulated in 1968 at the time of Indira Gandhi. Second education policy was formulated in 1986 at the time of Rajiv Gandhi. The second policy was modified in 1992, and the objective of 1992 policy was learning by doing. Now 21st century policy, this is New Education Policy 2020, is liked by one and all in the country. Now this is known as third policy of India. New policy aims for universalization of education from preschool to secondary level with 100% gross enrollment ratio in school education by 2030 and aims to raise gross enrollment ratio in higher education to 50% by 2025. Now we must understand that what is this gross enrollment ratio. Now government wants and National Education Policy document says then there is need of universalization of education and there must be 100% gross enrollment ratio. As per research in India it is 100% at early stage, but as we move further, like if we go to middle school it is 80%, then secondary school it is 56.5%, college education it is 26.3%. But in college education it is expected to be double, that is 50% by 2025. We need to double the infrastructure, means colleges. Now what are the expected major changes? The major changes like more time to build on foundation, national mission on foundational literacy and numeracy, 3 language proficiency, bagless days with vocational educational programs from 6th onwards, board examinations, flexibility, higher education, undergraduate, postgraduate. Now, before I move further for the policy, I want to discuss 4 areas. And in these 4 areas, first of all, I would like to touch on technology in education. So what is technology in education? Like use of technology in teaching, learning and assessment education, planning, administration and management, regulation through public disclosures. According to this policy, NETF, that is National Education Technology Forum, will be set up, and the motive of National Education Technology Forum will be to go for MOOCs, that is Massive Operative Online Courses, Divyang Friendly Educational Software, e-content in various languages, to meet 21st century challenges, virtual labs and online assessment in examination. The second point I want to make you clear, that is teacher recruitment. In teacher recruitment, this would be my recommendation to the schools that the teachers must be at the center of fundamental reforms in the education system. New education policy must help re-establish teachers at all levels because teachers are most respected and essential members of our society because they truly shape our next generation of citizens. Teacher eligibility tests will be strengthened to inculcate better test material both in terms of pedagogy and content. Teacher eligibility tests will also be extended to cover teachers across all stages: foundational stage, preparatory stage, middle stage and secondary level of school education. To gauge passion and introduction for teaching, a classroom demonstration or interview will become an integral part of teachers' hiring at schools and school complexes. Now, teachers must have proficiency in teaching in local language. Private schools must conduct a demonstration or interview and knowledge of local language. Minimum degree for a teacher is 4 years integrated B.Ed degree program. In case if a candidate who would like to be a teacher and that candidate is qualified class 12, that is 10 plus 2, then that candidate will go for 4 years integrated B.Ed degree program. But if a candidate is graduate, then that candidate will go for 2 years B.Ed program, and if candidate is postgraduate will go for 1 year B.Ed degree program. And teachers must go for continuous professional development. And for teachers, NCFTE, that is National Curriculum Framework, that was already made in 2005, and after 15 years it is going to be, you can say, constituted again by NCERT, and this will come into existence by next year. Then the third point I want to discuss, that is critical pedagogy. First of all, we all must know the meaning of pedagogy. I think pedagogy we can take as aptitude towards teaching, the activities of educating, whatever educational activities we go for, that comes in pedagogy. And critical means most important. The most important is aptitude towards educational activities. Next is experiential learning. Experiential learning means practical learning or real-time learning, or I can say prayogik gyan, because we can make our students prepare for future to work in practical domain. Now 10 plus 2 structure. This 10 plus 2 structure, this is the existing academic structure. This is going to be transformed in new academic structure. Already we have 10 plus 2. Now we'll have 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Now in the first foundational years are 5 years, and in this we can take pre-nursery, LKG, UKG, then class 1 and class 2. Now this document says in foundational stage, the mission of foundational literacy and numeracy must be fulfilled by 2025. And at this stage, playful, multi-level, activity-based learning must be done by a child. As we all are aware, in the present scenario, in government schools, classes begin from class 1 onwards, and child goes at the age of 6 years. But this document says child must go to school at the age of 3. And then child will spend 5 years in foundational class and will learn foundational literacy and numeracy. After that, the second stage is preparatory stage. In preparatory stage, the way of teaching, the aptitude of teaching for playful, discovery-based, activity-based and interactive classroom learning. And for this stage, child will spend 3 years, and this will consist from class 3 to 5 and age 8 years to 11 years. Then the next stage is middle stage. In middle stage, more stress is given on experiential learning. In the sciences, mathematics, arts, social sciences and humanities. Then after that, our next stage is secondary stage. At present, for class 9 and 10, we can call secondary stage, and 11 and 12 we can call senior secondary stage. But as per the new academic structure, this class 9 to 12 stage is known as secondary stage, and age 14 years to 18 years. Now this is the new pedagogical and curricular structure of school education. In this, 3 years Anganwadi or preschool and 12 years in regular school that would take place. Now these streamlines, present streamlines would be streamlined like this. Like the multidisciplinary kind of structure will be there. A child can opt for one subject from science like botany, from commerce, accountancy, from humanities like political science plus music plus debating. This is how a child can go for. So we can call it streamlines, can be streamlined. The next is reforms in school curricula and pedagogy. The school curricula and pedagogy will equip students with the 21st century skills. If teachers would go for senior examination curriculum initial pages or secondary school curriculum initial pages. Then mention of 21st century skills are there, and according to these skills, nowadays students must have literary skills, life skills, and learning skills, and teachers must inculcate these skills in their regular teaching, and teachers must use critical pedagogy or critical thinking. Now greater focus will be given on experiential learning. Students will have increased flexibility due to multidisciplinary structure. Students will have flexibility and they will have more subjects to select. There will be no rigid separations, or you can say hard separations, between arts and sciences, between curricular and extracurricular activities, between vocational and academic streams. It means soft subjects like, in present situation, soft subjects like fine arts, physical education, they will also be considered like other subjects: physics, chemistry, bio, accountancy and business studies. Now vocational education. Vocational education will start in schools from the 6th grade and will include internships. Internships means bagless school for 15 days, and child will go for internship program like for plumber, electrician, fitter, etc. Now, how will undergraduate and postgraduate streams work? The undergraduate education will be of 3 or 4 years with multiple entry and exit options and appropriate certification within this period. Like if child goes to a college and after a college child wants to quit that course, then child will get a certificate for a year. And if the child goes for the same course for 2 years, then the child will get advanced diploma. And if child will go for 3 years, will get bachelor's degree. And if the child is going to continue the same course for 4 years, then bachelor's with research. Child will get credits in academic bank of credit that is going to be established for digitally storing academic credits earned, and they will be counted in the final degree. Multidisciplinary education and research universities at par with IITs and IIMs will be set up across the country. Our next step is, will students be able to study the language of their choice? Now 3 language formula, like NEP says, we must go for mother tongue or regional language as the medium of instruction at least till grade 5, but preferably till grade 8 and beyond. It means, like if child in the foundational stage must go for mother tongue or regional language or both, and the third language, regional language, like you stay in Haryana, then the regional language is Haryanvi or Bangru, and the third language can be a foreign language. Like it means we must understand 2 native languages plus 1 foreign language. Like at present, suppose if child is going for English and French both, it means child is working on 2 foreign languages. Now the next step is Sanskrit to be offered at all levels of school and higher education as an option for students, including in the 3 language formula. It means Sanskrit is offered to all levels. Like if child goes for mother tongue plus Sanskrit plus 1 foreign language, then that is also okay. Other classical languages and literatures of India also to be available as options. No language will be imposed on any student. Several foreign languages will also be offered at the secondary level. Now the most important in this is Indian Sign Language will be standardized across the country, and we need to train staff members and students in school for Indian Sign Language. Next is, what will be the criteria to evaluate students? Like recently we all have seen that digital transformation took place. We need to create an assessment model keeping the digital education in mind. The National Educational Policy 2020 envisages a shift from summative assessment to regular and formative assessment, which is more competency based, promotes learning and development, and tests higher order skills such as analysis, critical thinking and conceptual clarity. Now first of all, I want to just explain you what is competency based. Competency based means real time teaching or practical walking, so that we can make our students or next generation compassionate, because they are known as future of the country, and that competency based education will promote learning, development, high order skills in the child. Our next step is all students will take school examinations in grades 3, 5 and 8, which will be conducted by the appropriate authority. Then board exams for grades 10 and 12 will be continued but redesigned with holistic development as the aim. It means over here there will be replacement of rote learning, and new modular examination can also come, like 2 semester system would be there. Like in first semester, if child is not able to qualify, child will get the chance to score well in second semester. A new National Assessment Center, PARAK, Performance Assessment Review Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development, will be set up as a standard setting body. Now, what are the positive highlights of NEP 2020? First positive highlight is interdisciplinary studies. This is what I have already taught you. Streamlines are streamlined, like various options are there, and students will have more options to go for academics, and they would love. Their future is bright, those who will go with this. Vocational education, that is a practical education. This will begin from class 6 onwards. By the time child qualifies class 12, child will move from school with one core vocational education. Coding program, class 6 onwards coding program will begin. We have introduced this keeping international standards in mind. Our next step is holistic report card. In future, in our report card, all kinds of skills will be inculcated in the report card, and the assessment will take place on the basis of 3 criteria. First assessment would be done by self-assessment by the child, second by peer assessment by classmates of the child, and the third is teacher assessment. At present, we go for teacher assessment only, and in holistic report card, we will have assessment of self-assessment, peer assessment, and teacher assessment. Competency-based learning, I already told you that this is practical-based teaching to make the child compassionate. Various modular exam scheme, like this is being planned that a 2-semester examination system must be there, give less burden on the child. How can we start inculcating these changes immediately? First of all, change in mindset. We need to change the mindset of teachers, parents and students, because we need to keep the structural change in mind, and we need to convince them, make them aware with the changes. Pedagogical change. In the infrastructure of the schools, we are not going to recommend any kind of change, but pedagogical change, like vocational education has been introduced, open options are there for students to apply for, then pedagogical changes are required. Assessment model, I already discussed with you. Assessment model, like new assessment model would be there with the help of PARAK, and in that 3 kind of assessment would take place. Schools, they need to introduce that. Training of ECCE staff. So first of all, I would like to just tell you that by the end of this year, NCERT is going to just introduce one, you can say, national curricular and policy frameworks for early childhood and care education, and this will be prepared by NCERT at the end of this year. And as per this NCPF ECCE, we need to train our staff. Basically, we need to train early childhood care staff as per the National Curricular and Policy Framework for Early Childhood and Care Education. Development of digital infrastructure. In digital infrastructure in schools, because we need to give equal weightage to private schools as well as to government schools also. NEP says, and the government also wants that the equal walking must be there. All the childs must get equal opportunities to grow. Now, in digital infrastructure, we must introduce smart classes. We must go for well-equipped science labs. modern computer labs, good hardware, good software structure in the schools. Our next step is admission policy that can be optimized as per the capacity of the school, because we need to keep the multidisciplinary point in mind, and we need to make the admission policy, and we need to keep the resources of the school also, and keeping all this in mind, we need to offer the subjects accordingly. Last but not the least, recruitment, selection and training of staff. At every stage, like at foundational stage, then preparatory stage, then middle stage and secondary stage, because we are going to introduce coding, we are going to introduce three-language formula, we are going to introduce educational program. So we need to train our staff. That is most important area to just look after. Now, what will be the timeline for implementation? The policy is meant to transform the education system by 2040. There are over 100 action points from the policy. Implementation will be done in phases based on time, region and types of institutions, with institutes of eminence and central universities taking the lead. The National Council of Educational Research and Training will introduce the curricular framework for the new school structure, including early childhood care, by the next academic year. The National Testing Agency will introduce a pilot version of the Common Entrance Test by December 2020, which will be used for admission to all institutes of eminence and central universities in 2021. The National Foundational Literacy and Numeracy Mission, which is to be implemented by 2025, will be launched by the end of this year. Some Indian institutes of technology are working on developing the technical structure of the Academic Credit Bank, which will also be established by December and become applicable to all students joining central universities next year. Now we can say National Education Policy is a broad direction, not mandatory to follow. Since education is a concurrent list subject, reforms preferred can only be implemented in collaboration of center and states. Target to implement this policy by 2040, and we hope for the best that as this policy is good, it must be implemented accordingly. If you still have queries, please put it in the comment box. Thank you.